Hello, my name is Owen, and welcome to the What I'll Be Reading in September 2024 video. And let me just say this right out the gate. This is my most ambitious reading plan for a month of all time. I've said it before, but I'm saying it again, and this time it's truer than it was the last time I said it. And I know what you're thinking. Sometimes I promise the world and I deliver like a county at best, but this time, like I said in my August wrap-up, I got a lot of momentum, all right? I'm now feeling unstoppable. We are already off to a fantastic start. We're about a little less, when I'm filming this video, we're a little less than a quarter of the way through the month already, which is crazy. When you break down months into percentages, all of a sudden it flies by, right? So we're a decent chunk into the waste of September, and we have a great start already, which just further emphasizes my fact that I'm gonna knock this month out of the park, okay? So let's just get straight into it. The first thing, what am I reading currently? What have I dug my teeth into? A bit of a left field choice, but when some of my friends were reading a book together, I caught that action on Goodreads, and I said, I want in on that. So I started The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. It's a fantasy series that I've had my eye on. I've had my peripheral vision on for a while. I was never like super committed to reading it, but I knew it existed. I knew people said great things about it. So I picked it up. And my friends that are reading it currently, they're like, oh, well, we're already halfway through. I'm like, say no more. And then I quickly, in like the last few days of August into these last few days here, or beginning of September, I'm already halfway through that book. In fact, I'm like almost 2/3 of the way through that book now. Some good things, some bad things I have about that book, so that review will be a good one. I think it'll be very nuanced, but overall, it's an enjoyable experience so far. But that's just right out the gate, right? And let me just say, that book really kind of sets the overall tone of this month. And, you know, I've said it countless times in these wrap-ups and these looking forward videos. I'm like, I'm not going to read a lot of fantasy in 2024. I said that in January. I've just proven myself a liar again and again and again. And I'm therefore dubbing these next few months as Fantasy Fall. Fantasy Fall, can you believe it? It's time for Fantasy Fall. We're going to be reading a lot of fantasy. The most fantasy anyone's ever read. It's going to be right here. And it wasn't by design, but when just looking at my people books I plan on reading this month, it's just shaping up that way, unfortunately. Or fortunately, maybe, because I know a lot of you guys like fantasy, and you know what? So do I. That's why I'm reading so much of it. So we're starting off with The Poppy War. We're a decent chunk of the way through that. I imagine I'll finish that before the halfway point of the month. But we're not only reading that at this time. We are multitasking this month because I'm also reading the book of the month, and I know you've all been waiting for it. What's the book of the month? What's the book of the month, Owen? And listen, there has been one person that's been lingering around these parts, unwelcome for the most part, but has been in very incessant about what I should be reading. You know him, you love him, Bibliomanic. We've done his book of the month before. He really wants me to read Mordu by Alex Pheby, Pheby. I'm going to say Alex Pheby, but that is our book of the month for the month of September. You're welcome. I did start Mordu, and I only have a 21-day hold at the library for it. So you know what? We quite frankly have no choice. It's almost impossible to get a copy of this book. I had to go through like back channels at the library to get it, but I did get my hands on it. So I'm going to be reading that in the next few weeks here. It is our book of the month, and let's just say, we all know my books of the month. It's high stakes. It's reputation staking. Because this is a double dip. Like Bibliomanic has recommended a book before, and it was so determined that I read this one, the stakes are incredibly high. Because I'm already a little bit angry, okay? So if this book is not even, if it's just like pretty good, you lose. If it's good, maybe I'll let you slide with a warning. It's got to be really, really good or great or better to justify this. Pressure's on, brother. Pressure's on. But I did start it. I'm only a few pages into it, so I don't really have a taste of where it's going, what it's about. It seems like a unique tone. And you know what? Consider my interest piqued. But that is our book of the month, Mordu by Alex Pheby. And then from there, we're going further off the deep end, guys. We are going further off the deep end because, funnily enough, I was watching Bibliomanic's video. He's doing like a Stormlight read, so he did a review on Mistborn. And you know what? I remembered that Brandon Sanderson's coming out with a huge book in December, book 5 of Stormlight. And you know, guys, and I've said it before, but I don't know if I really emphasized, like, I've been out on Sanderson for a while, guys. When I first started this channel, I was Sanderson's #1 fan. I'm like, you guys say he's like fluff fantasy. He's great. Every book he writes is gold. He's so underrated, even though he's like the most overrated or maybe very highly rated modern fantasy author of all time. Because a lot of people are like, you know what, you read a lot of like Malazan, and then Brandon Sanderson's like fluff. I'm like, no, I don't believe that. I love Sanderson. I love Stormlight. I love Mistborn, and I do love those books. I was his most loyal defender, and then I read The Secret Projects, and for some reason, I like started like 3 of them, and I hated all of them, and I'm like, this guy's the worst author ever of all time. Obviously, I've mellowed out my opinions in the months after that, kind of being like, oh, he's okay, like he has some good books, but like he's not like very consistent. I guess it was my opinion. But then I was thinking, I'm like watching that video, I'm like, Stormlight's coming out, and I love Stormlight. It's been since Rhythm of War came out that I read like a Brandon Sanderson book that was like amazing. Like I thought the end of Era 2 of Mistborn, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. People hated it more than I did. I thought it was solid. But then I realized like book 5's coming out, and I like forget what the Stormlight is about. So all that preamble to say, we're doing something extremely ambitious. In the next 3 months leading up to the release of Stormlight 5, Wind and Truth, we're gonna reread Stormlight. And I know what you're saying, okay, you're gonna reread it, whoop-de-dang-do. I don't think, if you've read the series, you understand what I'm about to say. And let's not forget, I'm not some superhuman reader, guys. This is like over 4,000 pages of a series that I have to read in the next 3 months. And like I said, I still plan on doing book of the month. This is not gonna be my primary book that I'm reading. I'm not gonna only read Stormlight till I get them caught up. I am possibly in grave danger. I might have bit off more than I can chew. I calculated it based on my library hold. I just took this out today. I have 21 days until I have to return it. Due to the length of this book, which is like the shortest one in the series, I have to read 50 pages of this book a day. On top of me keeping up with my friends in their pace of Poppy War, on top of me finishing Mordu before that hold expires, and on top of, let's not forget, my friends, I'm doing a Malazan reread. I know some of you guys think like this guy hates Malazan, even though he loves it, and he's rereading it, but he rereads it too slowly, so I said that he hates it. I want to finish part 2 this month. Last month we finished part 1. We did a video. It's so much fun. I love making those videos. And for the 7 people that watch them, part 2, I'm aiming to do it this month. I wouldn't hold your breath, but I'm aiming to do it. And that's what matters, right? It's the effort that counts. And then on top of that, you thought I was done? You thought I was done. Remember when I said I was on a book buying ban? This was a couple months ago, I think, because I have so many things on the TBR, so many things on the shelf that have been unread. I said not going to buy any more books until I finish them, until I make this more like readable. You know what? I think I did that. I read a lot of books on that shelf. I feel a little bit better about it. So that I did buy another book. Sorry. It is A Little Life. It is by Hanya Yanagihara. And apparently it's a tearjerker. Look at that guy. This one's going to be sad. And you know what? That's basically like 90% of the reason why I picked it up. I'm like, this book looks like something that will destroy me. Kind of breaks the theme a little bit of the fantasy fall. But you know what? It's so intriguing. I've heard such fantastic things about this book that I'm like, you know what? I want to see what the hype is all about. And I shouldn't say this, especially because I said like I'm probably not going to finish Malazan this month. I would like to read this book this month. I really, really would. For what I want to do personally, reading-wise, for the rest of the year, it would be beneficial to me to finish all of the goals that I have this month. Not that I'm like these goals are set in stone, but based on the books that I have on my shelf, based on the books that I want to read, the sequels, like I want to get back to Dune. I want to finish God Emperor before the end of this year. I want to get back into Robin Hood before the end of this year. And with all that on top of each other, and Stormlight 5 will come out in December, so that'll be like the majority of that month, I'm sure. I think it's ambitious, but I feel like I need to do it. And I feel like I'm motivated to do it. And I think if I do complete this, if I achieve all the goals, I think we'll be in fantastic shape looking at the end of the year. But it's ambitious. It is literally thousands of pages we're attempting to read this month. Like, I think the shortest book will be part 2 of Malazan only because it's part 2. It'll just be a few hundred pages. But like, A Little Life is no slouch at 800 pages. Stormlight is over 1,000 pages. Poppy War is probably our shortest. I think it's like 650, 700-ish pages, right? Actually, Mordu might be even shorter than that. I'm really not sure about that one. In fact, I'm almost positive it is shorter. So at least like 300, 400 page books we're reading, and we're attempting to read a lot of them. It's going to be a doozy of a month. And the only thing, going back to like the Stormlight reread, the why I feel like it's not as big of a deal as it would be is because it is a reread. So I'm not like agonizing over like fitting a new world in my head. It's a refresher read. Not that I'm going to skip like Shallan's chapters, guys, because people who do that are quite frankly imbeciles, limited IQ beings. If you're going to reread a book, please try to reread all of it, okay? I get your time is valuable, but then just don't reread it. Because I feel like if you cut out a POV character who has a significant amount of screen time in a fantasy series, you might as well just, I don't know, watch Cocomelon, okay? Because just read another book, please. There's so many books out there. Why would you pick up a book and then make your own edits? Okay, appreciate the art for what it is in its entire thing. And not, listen, I'm not taking this as a personal attack to people that have done this in the past or that do it. I understand like the impulse. Sometimes when I'm rereading The Stand, I'm like, oh, I can do without this character. I know what they do. It's not my favorite chapters. But then I remember that like Stephen King put them in there for a reason, okay? So maybe like just experience the art. And if you're not ready for the whole thing, then don't read the whole thing, guys. I don't know. I didn't know I felt so strongly about that until I started talking about it. But it's like watching a movie and then like watching the Avengers and only fast forwarding to the action parts. Because I know people do that too. And these are real people out in the world that like watch movies. And if you're going to watch clips, pull up on YouTube, okay? But you pull it up on, I watch you pull it up on Disney Plus. And I watch you fast forward and just watch a single scene. And you say, isn't this scene great? Brother, I haven't seen the movie. This scene means nothing to me. You know who you are. Sometimes you watch these videos and you know exactly who you are. I haven't seen Stranger Things. I don't want to see the scene where the little redhead gets shot up into the sky. It means nothing to me. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more like in the future. And as always, thank you for sticking around. Wish me luck on this journey of September. It's going to be a good one.